Namaskar. Today we will be discussing about my first ever experience of going to the Isha Yoga Center. I visited the Isha Yoga Center first time in May 2018, just after a month when I completed the Shambhavi Mahamudra or the Inner Engineering program. In the previous video, I talked about my experiences of the Inner Engineering program and how did it transform my life. So you can have a look at it if you want. So I and my cousin brother, who lives in Canada, both came to India to visit my parents. I had requested my parents if we are planning to go somewhere, then it should be the Isha Yoga Center, nowhere else. They granted my wish and we went to the Isha Yoga Center for the first time. We stay in a small town near Vadodara in Gujarat. So we took a flight from Vadodara to Coimbatore. Once we reached the Coimbatore airport, we took a cab and in the cab, we were going towards the Isha Yoga Center. From the airport till the Isha Yoga Center, it's about 1 or 1.5 hours of distance in medium traffic. So before going into this, let me tell you that I have been looking at the Isha Yoga Center through my Google Maps since 1 year. So be it the Dhyanalinga or the Adiyogi statue or the Devi temple or be it the Bhiksha hall, I had seen all of it on my screen. So I was virtually aware about the yoga center, but going there, you cannot compare seeing the Isha Yoga Center pictures on your screen, on your phone and going there in reality because it's completely just two different worlds. So me and my cousin brother, since 2 or 3 months before going to India, we had been reading about the Dhyanalinga or watching videos about that. Through our research, we came to know that Sadhguru is not going to be present at the Isha Yoga Center at the time when we are visiting it. And so, the most important thing which we wanted to go and do there was to just experience Dhyanalinga. Just reading in the Mystics Musings book about Dhyanalinga's consecration process, it appears to be a completely magical and mystical world. There is no way you can believe all that. So we just wanted to go and experience it, that what it is like. One thing that Sadhguru has always told, that the Indian temples are not places to worship. They are energy forms which have been consecrated in a specific way for 1 or 2 chakras, for our own well-being. For different purposes, there are different temples. But here, Dhyanalinga had 7 chakras, all the 7 chakras to its peak. So it is like Shiva sitting there himself, Mahadev over there sitting. And this idea had made the longing to go over there so deep that I was literally shivering throughout the way till I reached the Dhyanalinga. So we took the cab and we were going closer and closer to the Isha Yoga Center. And far away I saw something. It was the Adiyogi statue. There is so much of greenery and trees around. So it will appear for some while, then it will just go behind the trees. But the moments in which you see the Adiyogi statue from such a far distance, it is really a spectacular view. And then I see the Malaivas. So it is the main entrance of Isha Yoga Center. It's a huge gate made out of stone, and next to the gate there's this huge triangle in which there's written Isha. For the people who have booked cottages inside the Isha Yoga Center for their stay, this is not the main entrance for them. So we entered the entrance, which is meant for the people who are coming inside the Isha Yoga Center for a stay. So they checked our booking details at the gate and let us in. So at the welcome point, we completed our formalities. We went to our rooms. There, I completed my sadhana because my 40-day mandala was still on. So after I completed my sadhana, we went for the Nad Aradhana, which happens in the Dhyanalinga temple at 5:40 every evening. From the welcome point, it's just 50 meters. Dhyanalinga is about 50 meters from there. So we were just walking closer and closer to it. And I just got this feeling that I should not go in the Dhyanalinga with my parents. I should not. When we came in front of the Dhyanalinga and we were about to enter, they told us to take a pradakshina, then come and enter the Dhyanalinga. It is not a direct entry. But my longing to go to the Dhyanalinga was such that when I was taking the pradakshina, I just looked at the Devi temple, which just comes at the corner. When you take the pradakshina, I just bowed down to her, told her that I'll just come. Once I see the Dhyanalinga, I will come to you. So I completed the circle with my parents. Till then, my parents were with me. I was standing just next to the Sarv Dharma Stambha. So at the Stambha, I told my parents that you go, I'll come behind you. So I was just standing there with my head down. I did not have the courage to look up. I had been waiting for this moment since 1 year. intensely. And now when I'm just in front of Dhyanalinga, I was just not able to take my head up and look at it, have a darshan of it. So with my head down, I started walking towards it. I crossed the doorway. After that, there were 3 steps. 1 step, second step, third step. After that, I walked 2 more steps. I don't know, probably I was in the center of the path, but I was unable to move. I was just standing there stiff, and slowly I took my head up. I saw the Dhyanalinga. In a moment, my head was down and tears just started pouring out. So I was just standing there crying and crying and crying. I was unaware of where I was standing, whether I was blocking some other person's way or there is some other trouble which I am creating doing this. It continued for about 30-40 seconds. I was just shivering and crying. Then 1 or 2 volunteers came towards me. They just held me by my shoulder. They politely took me towards the side mandap. They made me sit. I was not able to control my emotions, but they took me and made me sit. I was aware of this. After a few minutes, 1 or 2 volunteers again came to me. They asked me if I needed water or something. I just shook my hand and my head like this, and I just sat there. When you visit the Dhyanalinga, there are 15 minutes of intervals in which you can enter it. Once you enter the temple, you must be seated with your eyes closed for a minimum of 15 minutes. After that, a bell will ring, and then if you want, you can go out and the next batch of people can come in. And I was just sitting there waiting for my turn for the bell to ring and so that I can enter in. So after some time, the bell rang. I stood up and the batch of people who were inside the dome started coming out. And I was just standing like this, going closer and closer to the entrance, and I saw my parents crossing by. Their eyes and my eyes met. They saw my condition. I just closed my eyes, put my head down, and just went in. I went in, and there it was. Till then also, my tears were on. I was still crying. So I just looked at it like this. And just any place which I got, I just sat there. I just kept looking at it. It was not the aesthetics which I felt beautiful, but the whole ambience and the energy which had just shook me so badly, that maybe the inner engineering experience which I had discussed about in the last video, it appeared to be a bit less than this. And here there's nothing. I just walked in. I did not do any process. I didn't give 4 days of my life to this. But still it just blasted me off completely. So I was just looking and staring. I was so awestruck. I was not able to think anything. I was completely blank and just looking like this. Like a crazy guy looking at something. I was just staring at it. After some time, I came to my senses. My crying stopped. I stood up, went out because my parents might be waiting for me. And at 7 p.m. we needed to go to the Bhiksha hall for our dinner. Slowly I met my parents outside. They were waiting for me. I just told them that I'll just go to the Devi temple and come to the Bhiksha hall running. So I went to the Devi temple. I went there. The same thing happened. The same exact thing happened. I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. I don't know. Maybe I was 5 or 10 minutes late till I reached the Bhiksha hall. But luckily I got the place inside to sit and have my dinner. The next day, we went to the Surya Kund to take a bath, because this is the best way to approach Dhyanalinga. If you are male, you take a dip in the Surya Kund and go to the Dhyanalinga. If you are female, you go to the Chandra Kund and take a dip over there. After that, you go to the Dhyanalinga. The submerged lingas in the water of these kunds make our body much more receptive to the energies of Dhyanalinga. So then we took the lunch, then we went to the Adhyogya Lion, but there were the Hatha Yoga teacher training program going on. So we could not enter the hall, but we saw it from the exterior. It was huge. So at the evening time, we went to the Adi Yogi statue, and there was a Yogeshwar Linga in the bottom of it. Probably it was the Aarti time at the Yogeshwar Linga. We just sat there, and there were students from the Isha Samskriti who were offering something in classical music to the Lingam. And it was so profound. The way the devotion in the singing was so touching. Me and my mom could not stop our crying. So after that, we took some photographs at the Adiyogi statue. That's mandatory, right? When you go there, you need to have some photographs with Adiyogi statue in the background. After that, we went back to the ashram, had our dinner, sat some time in front of the Dhyanalinga next to the Nandi, because Nandi the statue which you see, it also has its own aura and its energy circumference. So we sat over there. It was quite pleasant. Then we went back to our rooms, and the next morning we were leaving. So in the morning we woke up early, and my cousin brother, we went to the Dhyanalinga just at 8. At the time it opens up, we went there because the next time we were not sure that when we will be getting the chance to see the Dhyanalinga and experience it. So we just saw it and just bowed down to it, and then we came out and then we proceeded the checkout. So to conclude the experience of the Isha Yoga Center, the 2-day experience, it really had impacted me so deeply. And the same thing happened to my cousin brother and my mother. They also had this whole urge of going to the Dhyanalinga and to the Isha Yoga Center once again as soon as possible. So when was the next time I went to the Isha Yoga Center? I'll talk to you in the next videos about that. I tried to tell you concisely about my experience of the Isha Yoga Center for the first time. And if you wanted to visit the Isha Yoga Center and if you have further questions about it, please let me know in the comments below. I will try my best to answer that. So in the next video, I will be talking about my experiences of the Surya Kriya program which I participated in Toronto, Canada. See you in the next video. Namaskaram.